Good afternoon, all, and wish you a happy and a prosperous and an entrepreneurial new year. Looks like there are some technical. Looks like there are some technical small glitches here, and these guys are doing everything possible to set everything right as fast as possible. But at the same time, we are also running short of time. I have been warned by many people here, including Acharya sir, that I'll be pushed out if I don't get out. So I would better stick to my time schedule as much as possible. So within this given time, let us see what we can do and how much interesting we can make this session. Oh, okay, there's an opening speech. I think we'll do away with the opening speech, unless you want to do it. Okay, let her also show her face to all of us.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Vishwapreneur 2015. This morning gave us an experience of a lifetime in the form of an enthralling panel discussion. In follow-up, we are privileged to commence with the first session of the National Entrepreneurship Convention. I now request Professor Dr. S.S. Chinchlikar, Department of Mechanical Engineering, to felicitate Dr. Anil Kumar Kaza.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I, Dipali Raikar,
And I, Namit Sharma,
are here to introduce you to our first speaker for the day. Even though words are not enough to describe his knowledge and the experience that he possesses, we are grateful that Dr. Anil Kumar Kaza, MD of Saubhagya Ispat India Private Limited, has graced the occasion with his esteemed presence. His only mission in life to enjoy every flavor of whatever the Almighty has in store for him.
Dr. Anil Kumar Kaza is an accomplished, multifaceted professional consistently recognized for achievement and performance in diverse fields of real estate and construction industry, education sector with services in information technology and financial management. Innovative, dynamic, and successful in communicating effectively and establishing business alliances. Proven leader with special capabilities in building team and strategizing and implementing plans aggressively for successful and time-bound completion.
Well, you could be surprised to know that he not only has a B degree in mechanical engineering, but also an MBA in marketing and human resource management, a postgraduate diploma in labor laws, a MTech industrial and management, a PhD, and also an MBA in hospital administration.
Wow, Dipali, isn't that an astonishing embodiment of an academician? But friends, there's more to him than just his qualifications. Dr. Anil Kumar Kaza is a vivid example of a complete entrepreneur. He has a vast arsenal of skills and remarkable managerial qualities, which makes him a veteran administrator. So without any further ado, I humbly request Dr. Anil Kumar Kaza to take over.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends.
The question answer round will be hosted before, and then the session will be continued. So if participants have questions, you can ask. 10 minutes will be given. Thank you.
This is what is entrepreneurial skills all about. See, there's some technical problem. They want to cover it up, saying that they want to have the technical question and answer session first, and then continue with my program. As a time management, and then dynamic scenario, dynamic situation. You have to adjust and then reorganize yourself and use your resources in a proper way. Congrats to them. Yeah, let us start with a question and answer session. Unless you guys are wanting to take it later, I can continue with my session too, even without the projector. Anyway, I don't have too many slides there, and we are anywhere running short of time. So I can still do it without the projector. Do you want the question and answer session first, and then my talk, or actually my talk is nothing greatly structured. See, I was Fortunately or unfortunately, half of me is also a teacher, so I can keep on blabbling as long as I'm given. Uh, so I can also adjust my timings and restrict to a little thing also. So I'm half professor also. And in fact, let me tell you, my heart is for teaching, but my need is money, so I had to get into. so I had to balance that. I had to become an entrepreneur, and I chosen another passion, which is real estate for me. So real estate and other businesses. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to start the question and answer session first, and then we'll go to the my talk, or how do we do about it? We don't have much time. Oh, okay. You guys want the talk first. So when I was asked to talk here, this is almost a perseverance of another entrepreneur from your college, Professor Rohini Panajkar, who I know her as a Rohini Panajkar, and now she's called Rohini Panajkar Bhalerao also. My relationship with Rohini goes almost to 1972, I think. It's almost 35, 40 years, more than 40 years. We were in the same school together from second class to seventh class, and then I moved out and she moved out, and then in between we had a small stint of communication. And after almost 3 years, 4 years back, I again got myself networked to her. I was thanks to Google Amma that that I could find her on the Vishwa VIT. I knew that she was somewhere in Pune, so I was just trying to search on all colleges, and then I found her, and I got connected to her. Why I'm telling you all these things, see, and I asked her what I should be talking to here today. Then she said, you just be yourself, try to share your experiences, that's what our students would be needing. And I know that teachers are there to teach all your academics and pump in all kinds of technical knowledge to you guys. And one of the most wonderful thing that's happening in your institution is that you start, there's something called entrepreneurship in an engineering college, which is a great surprise to me. And then that too from first year of engineering means that's a great thing. And I have known Acharya sir also for the last 3 years, I think. And when I first met him, I was looking at myself in him because he was less of a teacher and more of a practical entrepreneur. So, so this is a very good thing that a person who has that inclination towards entrepreneurship is a driving force behind this particular event that has started, and you should all be thankful for such a kind of thing. And I also thank Rohini and Acharya sir and the management and also the organizers of this event for giving me this honor of being in front of you today to share my experiences. Do you want me to give the definitions of entrepreneurship and how time management, stress management, communication, or do you want me to share my experiences with you? Okay then, because as I said, I'm a teacher, I can also teach all that things also. So, madam has asked me to just share those experiences, so I thought I would share these experiences. As I already told you, 27 years back, when I was in my MBA first year, I was sitting exactly in your chair, only 11 students though then. And we had this Mr. Reddy, who was also a mechanical engineer, and who started Nandi Pipes. If you guys know, it's a big brand in Andhra Pradesh. And then he came to share his experiences. That day, while I was sitting as one amongst you, I thought that there should be one day that I should be on the other side of that is this side. And today I am being honored to be on this side to share my experiences. Thank you very much. I'll just take some little help of my thing that I have already prepared so that I can be more structured. So let me first know the general backgrounds of all of you generally. See, I have divided them into employee background and agriculture background, political background and business background. Can we just quickly understand how many of us are from various different backgrounds? To start with, how many are from employee background? Looks like a majority seems to be from the similar background as I am from. So probably you guys can more empathize, sympathize and understand. Or maybe I can do the same thing with you. And then agriculture, very few. That's good. And then from business backgrounds, oh, that's also good. That's a wonderful group. And then political background. Come on. Oh, there's one political guy. Okay. And then how many of you are from VIT and how many of you are from outside Pune? I'm told that there's a mix of students from outside also. There are about 300 from outside who have registered. How many of you are from outside? Oh, that's good. That's a good number. So there's less attendance from VIT. Gar ka murga dal barabar. No? Something our teachers every day do. Chalo chalta hai. But people from outside relish and understand the value of what is being done. Anything that is unknown is always wonderful to us. That's good anyway. Congrats for all those guys who have come from outside and also all those people from VIT. Thank you for attending. And how many of you are from management background and how many from engineering? Is there anybody from engineering, management background? Management, please. Oh, okay, good, good. There are only very few people from management. So basically, I'll be addressing mostly the technical guys. And entrepreneurship is much more relevant to a technical guy than to an MBA guy because MBA people are anyway, imbibe certain kinds of skills through their various case studies and through their curriculum. And but for engineering students, there's a lot of technical hitches. Because I myself being an engineer, I can understand how a pure engineer can think about business and pure scientist how they can think about business. There's a lot of aversion towards business by the technical people for whatever reason. So it makes more sense for people like you to understand how the entrepreneurship works. And instead of giving all these lectures on other things, which we already have gone through, like an entrepreneur should have that risk-taking capabilities and time management skills, stress management skills, and all that stuff. So let me just share my own little experiences. And is it working now? Okay. Entrepreneurship is living, I just have a quote to make it a little more interesting or maybe boring also. Entrepreneurship is living a few years of life like most people won't. Entrepreneurship is living a few years of life like most people won't, so that you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. Please understand that. So I congratulate all of you because here there is about a gang of 300 people or something like that. And I was just running through some statistical data of the college, and I was told that there's about the VIIT has a host of about 6,000 students, and we have about 300 students who are looking at entrepreneurship as their probable career, which is about 5%, and which actually goes with the norm of the society also. You hardly have 2 to 3% people who are into entrepreneurship. And out of that 2-3% also, the percentage of success is very, very little. See, entrepreneurship is like that. In the childhood, we used to play that game of snakes, that throwing the dice and all. And you have a ladder, and then you have all those snakes. Entrepreneurship is a beautiful example of that game. See, sometimes you get a ladder, and then you jump 3 steps above, and then you put something else, you put a step. Okay, you put a dice means you do some other business, and then it will take you and put you into a snake's thing, and then you come down. This is a natural process of each and every entrepreneur. So success and failure are the natural processes of every entrepreneur, And failure is much more than the success. Most of the time we fail because we always do things differently, and then we try to take get into the areas of risk, and the probabilistic, we work on those probabilistic models on which nobody has any control. And another thing is the extraneous factors like the government, the social system, the political system, all these the rules and regulations. I tell you, while the whole government and the countries live just on what are we living on? An economic growth, right? Every country lives on economic growth. Unfortunately or fortunately, in our country, our systems are made in such a way that they are always anti-business. They are always anti-business. This is a very, very pathetic and a paradoxical situation we are working through. On one hand, we want economy to grow. How does the economy grow? It's only through business the economy grows. But unfortunately, the whole system thinks a businessman is like a chore or a kind of businessman or an entrepreneur, which we can use loosely, though there are certain technical differences. We are generally looked down as unwanted people, and then there's so much of taxation structure that gets into the businessman thing, and the businessman is always fighting. He is fighting against the business, he is fighting against the competition, he is fighting against the system. So in the process, what happens is there are so many things that we need to learn and do, which may not be palatable to our conscious or to our value system or to our family backgrounds. So this is a very, very important thing that you guys should understand, that in the business, we need to do so many things that are unwritten. The success of a businessman or an entrepreneur is only on doing these unwritten things in a proper way, just like Parmar ma'am was telling. I can't say it because it's on record, that she works around the system. So we have to work around the system to make the things happen. The smarter you are in making around the system, the more successful you are. And in the process, you have all these snakes playing around you. There are always some snakes there. You have a VAT snake, you have a service tax snake, you have a excise duty snake, you have a the income tax snake is the final one. Of all the snakes, income tax snake is a better snake, but it's always sitting on the top. The income tax snake is always waiting when the bakras will be coming up so that I can swallow them. So you need to move through all these snakes and then make a kind of a success. And in the process, see, as I told, I always believe in this, that an ounce of luck is better than a pound of wisdom. We are all wise. Wisdom is always there, but luck is not there, which is like, if we have all reached to this stage, I am sure that we are all intelligent. We all know what we are doing, and we are all qualified to do what we are doing. But then luck is an important factor. Okay, that's an important factor. Though that is not the only factor that you should think about, but that's a very important factor. Because quoting my own example, I love working. It's not that I feel I work hard or anything. They were asking you just recently. Somebody was asking how much time do you work and all. I really, as an entrepreneur, you don't work. You don't work at all, actually. So from the morning, you start thinking. I sit in the morning. My regimen is morning. I get up, take one full bottle of water, get into the bathroom. That is where my work will start. My communication will start there. That's the only peaceful place on the earth that you can be to yourself. Everywhere else, you're always disturbed with something or the other. So I sit there for myself, and then I do all my, that's a big complaint in my house also, that he doesn't come out of the bathroom for 1 hour. So I finish off my emails and WhatsApps and all that stuff from there, and then I plan my day then. So once the day planning is over, then it becomes a mechanical thing. So sometimes we go to the sites, or sometimes you go to the factory, or sometimes you give instructions, you go to the banker begging for money, or you attend to the customers' complaints and all that stuff. I am more customer-centric, in the sense that I don't believe in too much of advertising. So for, as I said, word of mouth. I have some customers who are almost 25 to 30 years old customers who still call me and tell me, sir, मेरा वो drainage का वो हमारा apartments में वो drainage टूट गया है. So see, all that you have to do is, we can't solve all problems. Understand that we are not here to solve all problems, but then we can definitely hear. Hearing itself solves half of the problems. My brother was now he is a cardiologist, but he started his career as a psychiatrist. He used to tell me, there's nothing to psychiatry. See, all that you have to do is you get yourself a degree, and then you have a chair and a table. People will come, they will tell their problems, and you start your clock. They'll tell all their problems, and then they'll tell all the solutions to the problems, and you get paid for that. 90% of the psychiatric problems, 90% of the psychiatric or psychological problems that people have is only a person who can pretend to be empathizing or sympathizing. That's okay. So see, it's the same thing I have adopted. I have learned from him, and I have adopted the same thing. All that you have to do is hear to the customer patiently, okay, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and after 3-4 minutes, he himself will feel guilty. I have disturbed such a big man, and he's such a nice person that he didn't, he's not getting irritated. Or then he will say, sir, actually, no, association only should do and all those things. Yes, I'll tell the president of your association to take care. So they tell your problems, they solve your problems, but you have to have that connect with your customer. So that connect is a very important thing that we need to have. Not all customers revere you. There are also customers who also criticize you, who also hate you. Concentrate more on those customers who hate you and criticize you, because they are the real people who can give you the wrong side of you, which you can look at yourself when you are alone somewhere, so that they can become your right inputs. There's a saying called, God, give me a wise friend. If you can't give me a wise friend, make him my enemy, so that he will tell me my mistakes anyways. So that is the philosophy that we should always try to adopt when we are looking at our customers. Customers are gods. As Gandhiji said, customers absolutely are gods. They're always right. But we have to be careful. You can't go and tell them you're gods and all, but you have to have that inner feeling and that connect with the customer. Then automatically 99% of your problems will be solved, and he will get you other customers. That is how the business grows. That is what I have always been doing, and I still do the same thing. So I don't have advertisements. I think I know almost all the senior big builders of Hyderabad, and big builders of Hyderabad know me. But public don't know me, because I don't get into that advertising world and all that. I'm little publicity shy guy. When your madam had called me and told that all my posters are hanging around everywhere in the Pune, then I said, no, I'm not that kind of a person, but looks like I think I can slowly change my career to politician. I was asking her to keep all those posters, to be careful, so that down the line, somewhere if I stand as your MLA or something, I can use their posters. But I was just telling her the example. Now, coming to how I started my life, let me just give a small description, I think. While I'm trying to tell my life or my experiences, it is not to be pompous about myself or anything, but it's only to share my experiences with you, because I too have come, as I told you, I also have come from a very humble background, and humble and a very critical and a very sensitive background, because this middle class is the worst thing to happen in life. You should either be very rich class or you should be very poor class. There's no problem. There are no problems for both the classes. But when there is a transition from middle class to other class, there's a big problem. See, first I entered into construction business. How I entered? As soon as I finished, even before I finished my MBA, I got a couple of job offers. One offer was, though I am from Andhra Pradesh, my parents were settled in Chandrapur. He was working for coal mines, so we had some connections, and I got some job in Nagpur in a private sector. And then at the same time, I got a job in another company in Bangalore. And at the same time, I got another job in government also. I was a manager, depot manager for APS RTC. And then but my passion always was to get into business. I tested this passion when I was in my 7th class. I think it was in 7th, 8th class, something like 7th or 8th class. You know what I did? I have used this n into n plus 1 by 2. What is that? What is that? Arithmetic progression, right? It's n into n plus 1 by 2 is the sum of 1 to n numbers. So I used that simple concept which my uncle said, and I started a small business with that concept. I said, see, it was just a kind of, I don't know whether it was fun or I was testing myself. I was not really sure, but I really wanted to do something and make some money out of it. So I made 100 chits, 100 slips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like that. So I put something like, 5 paise, 6 paise, 7 paise, 8 paise, like that. I went up to 100 paise. So the maximum was, I think, 10 rupees or something like that. The total came to about 10 rupees. So everybody was cool about it. Oh, you're only, so there is a dual lottery system. One is you take a lottery and then if you get 1, you have to pay only 1 paise. If you get 10, you have to pay 10 rupees. But the prizes, again, there's another lottery where I have given a prize, which was again eligible. So it was a dual lottery system that I have used. And I don't know, because I'm a kid and everybody also was, they were also thrilled with this thing and everybody supported. And something I must have made about 100 rupees or 200 rupees, whatever. I was so happy about it. Then I said, okay, I think I started liking that kind of a system where you deal with people, where you deal with, situations where you have to do the selling concept, and then you create a kind of a need, or you find a need and then solve the need. So I was very successful in that. Then after that, after a couple of years, this is what I have done, I think, when I was when I was 14 years or 13 years. Then when I was in matriculation, I found out that, can I have some water, please? In matriculation, we were living in Chandrapur, not in matriculation, I think intermediate, yeah. My father was living in Chandrapur and I was in Hyderabad. Because basically my father was working in Ramagundam, in Karimnagar district in Andhra Pradesh, and he shifted his job to Chandrapur and I shifted my base to Hyderabad. So in our town, that is Chandrapur, it is a coal belt, a lot highly polluted coal belt with bad water. And then I have seen that we were suffering for filtering the water. I don't know if you guys still know. I don't know if many people may not know, but the older generation will know. We used to have a candle and then do the filtration of the water. Now we have all these Eureka Phobes RO systems, or maybe UV purification systems nowadays. How many of you know this candle filtration water filters? Very few, yeah. So during those days, the water there was very bad, and there was no water filtering thing there. So what I said is, I had a friend who was dealing in steel, who was in Guntur. And then what I told him is, I'll sell you 500 units of this, okay? But I can't pay you. I don't have money to pay, but I'll sell that. So somebody was telling, buying at one price, selling at different price. While buying, there is a fixed price. While selling, there is no fixed price. So I bought it from him with zero capital, because it was good for him too. He can trust me. So I have taken, first lot I have taken, he said, okay, my dad will not allow me to give you. We were all kids. My dad will not allow me to give 500 units at a time. You take 100 units first, and then after that, we'll start sending them once you send the money. So there was a huge demand. I thought, I was not too sure, but to be pompous, and you need to sell yourself also. You say, I want 10 units or 20 units. That fellow may not treat you as a bulk customer or an important customer, though he is a friend. So I bargained for 500 units. He was selling it at X price. I said, okay, X minus 20%, I'll make that profit. And he said, that's fine. So he gave me at X 20% discount. And then I sold it at 3X price. because the price that was going there was 5x and the quality was almost minus 5x. Every year they had to remove those things because that was getting rusted, that steel that they were using was getting rusted, but this guy had a good quality. So I made 300% profit on that, no tax, nothing. So that is where my journey towards entrepreneurship or business has started. And then during that period, I always somehow was interested in lands, as I told you already. So I used to, am I boring you all? Okay. Please tell me if I'm boring, I can stop it there. Then when I was, why I'm trying to tell all these things is, because most of us are from middle class, we can connect easily to those kinds of scenarios, not exactly the same, but similar kind of scenarios where we move through. Those days, my parents' salaries was low and the standard of living was low, and today even the middle class also is more richer than the lower middle class of our years, because the values have gone up, the salaries have gone up, accordingly the standard of living has gone up and cost of living also has gone up. So as a student, we used to, do you guys have general pass here in RTC ST buses? You have general passes for students? Concessional general passes. Do you all have? No. Anyway, I used to have a general pass, and then with that general pass, I used to roam around all the ventures outside the city. See all the lands, who is doing what land, how this is going to become useful to a customer and all that stuff. And then just for knowledge sake, I used to do that. And then I went into engineering, and after that career has become very important, and slowly I moved into engineering. And my father always wanted me to become a civil servant, an IAS officer, IPS officer kind of stuff. And his vision and mission was, for his children, was that at least one has to become a civil servant. Unfortunately, his vision and mission couldn't be fulfilled, but he is happy. So that is how my journey has started, and then I finished all that degrees and all. That was the easiest thing. Of all the things, I tell you, the easiest and the best thing in life is education is the easiest thing, and the best thing is the youth. Don't lose both of them. Please do not lose both of them. Enjoy each and every moment, and always focus on your core thing. Your core thing today is education. So I always believed in Saraswati more than Lakshmi, because I always believed that Lakshmi Mataji, she is achanchal. She keeps moving from one house to the other house. Whereas Saraswati Mata, she doesn't go to any house. So somebody has to go and then make her their guest or host. Once she comes in, she will never go out. So that is why you should always, education is very, very important. Whereas Lakshmi ji, she comes and knocks. If you take care of her properly, she'll be there with you. The day you don't take care of her, she'll run away. So Saraswati Mata is like your mother. However much you abuse, she'll still be there in your house. Only problem is getting her in. So I always used to balance my education in such a way that in the worst case scenario, if something happens, as I was telling you, there should always be a decision tree analysis. If something goes wrong, at least you can have some other thing to bank upon when you don't have other people or godfathers who can support you. It's always good to have godfathers, but then not everybody will be blessed with that kind of thing. Only few people who are highly blessed can go into that. But I always thank God for making me whatever I am, because that has made me proud of myself and whatever I have done, because I have a sense of achievement. Of course, there's always help from everybody, but that sense of pride and achievement will always be more when you do it yourself. Then, after finishing my education, then I moved into, I was telling you about the jobs that I was going, I had the options, and finally I joined the government sector, and then from government sector, I became an officer. And after becoming officer, while I was doing all these things, I was always pursuing my education, and I was always pursuing my real estate interest on academic level. So after that, after getting into the job, I got a wonderful opportunity. That is, I had an opportunity. There was one palace. I was sharing my experience with your principal ma'am just a couple of minutes back. So I didn't have money, but I have decided that I am not here to do the job. That is one thing that I have always decided, why I joined the job. One, because Mr. Reddy had told me that you have to learn some things like management tools, the practical world, before you get into the business. That is one thing which really helped me a lot, because the first posting that I had, I was managing something like 800 employees with 100 buses and the hooligans of the world, like, you know, how the drivers and conductors are. It's a very difficult situation, and political system and all that stuff. But somehow I was always I was always fearless. I think I was always fearless. That is what has always helped me and also put me into a lot of troubles. So don't try to be foolhardy fearless. You have to be very careful. That I learned it after 40 years. So you have to be more diplomatic. If you want to get into entrepreneurship, you have to be more diplomatic. I was always a people's person, but mostly I was a leader. A leader is not a good fellow for entrepreneurship. That's another important thing. You should not just be a leader. I was only a leader. I was not a right manager. So that I learned it over a period of time. Leader is one who puts the others' problems onto their heads. And a manager is one who takes the others' problems on their heads, provided he has something in it. He works for something else so that he can manage. You should be a combination of a leader and a manager. It should not be just a leadership thing. There were so many times where I used to enter into street fights just because some auto fellow is deceiving somebody, or some police fellow is shouting at an auto fellow, and then I get into that brawl and I make a mess out of my life. That's not necessary. That's not a good thing to happen, because that comes out of emotional thing. Oh, there's some injustice that is happening. So I'm not, as an entrepreneur, we are not here to stand in judgment of others or stand in social service of others. Social service should be a part of our life. Giving should be a part of our life, but it should not be a major thing that's going to affect our lives. So I used to get into these kinds of troubles anyway, and then I also knew how to get. Good thing is that I always knew how to get out of it. That was a very good thing to happen. Then I got an opportunity to, there was one palace, a small palace, which is a historic palace in Hyderabad. How many of you are from Hyderabad? Anybody know Hyderabad? Okay. In Hyderabad, Abid's is the central place of Hyderabad, and Chirag Ali Lane is a very famous lane in Hyderabad. And then there is another lane parallel to that called Fateh Sultan Lane. This Chirag Ali and Fateh Sultan are two brothers. They are all sultans. They were two brothers, and they had two palaces there. This Fateh Sultan Lane belonged to some distant relatives of ours. That was occupied by almost 15, 16 people for the last 45, 50 years. They were there even before I was born. And some of them were, some fellow was a union leader, one fellow was a joint secretary in the secretariat, another fellow was rickshawala, another fellow was hotelier, another fellow. There are lots of kinds of people sitting in that property. So the best opportunity for me is, now I know that I want to do. I don't want this job and I want to get out of this job. Then I can't leave the job because I was in the government. So what I did is, now I found another second option where I was always good at. Normally, I was always a backbencher. So normally, all the backbenchers are all with the similar kind of attitudinal people. But by the grace of God, I was also doing reasonably good in my class also, but I was also with the poor students, poor in the sense academically poor students. So my best gang was always the worst students of all the teachers, and I was one of the most wanted to my teachers. So there was a contradictory thing always happening. My teachers used to say, why are you going with these kinds of people? Why don't you go with that boy or this girl or that? But I always enjoyed like that. So I got this opportunity, and then I have decided I have to leave. I leave the job. Now comes the decision tree. The tree is, supposing I leave the job, and then I get this, I don't know that business. I have no clue about what real estate is in the first place. What are the problems? I have no clue. I just don't know any rules, but I have decided I have to do that. Then the problem is how to support my family during the process, if I'll be either successful or I'll be unsuccessful. So if I'm successful, there's no problem about it. If I'm unsuccessful, what is the thing? Now, I have a cozy job Those days I was earning, I think 1700 rupees, which was a very big money, because I used to spend about 600 and save 1200, because earlier I used to have only 600 rupees. So I got used to that life of 1000, 1200, and in the meantime I got married, and my salary also jumped to 2500. At 2500 I was still saving about 800 to 1000 rupees a month, which was a big money for me then. But then that's not enough to start a huge, vacate a palace and then construct a house. That was, those days it was how much? I think it was about 2 crores project. And that is the first venture. 2 crores is something which you can't imagine. Today everybody talks about a crore or two, just like Mompalli. But 2 crores is, even today is not easy to earn. To earn 2 crores is a big thing. To earn it in a right way is still a very big thing, unless you do some kind of manipulation or jugglery. Yeah. I'll just wind it up. So that is where I started my career, and then I had to do the things that I had to do, right things, wrong things, and also to support my own family background, I joined another passionate career, that is teaching. I was a first faculty member of one of the premium management schools in Hyderabad, which is now one of the premium management schools. That's St. Anne's College for Women. I worked there almost for 9 years. I just requested the management to start the school at 7 o'clock in the morning instead of 9:30. So I used to teach from 7 to 9:30. I used to teach there, and then I have compromised my salary from 2,500 to 1,500. So I joined that the B school for 1,500, while the UGC scales were about 2,500 or 3,000. They were too happy because I had completed my MTech by then, and it's very difficult to get an MTech MBA guy for 1,500. They were happy, I was happy. So that's how I was balancing my economic thing, and then I got into this, and then I had a guy who was, no, you need to do some things that need to be done. Some roadside guy who was a henchman to a local MLA. Then I moved him out, and I said, you work for me, and you don't have to work for the MLA if you work for me. Then he came back, he came to me, and I sponsored him, and he helped me, and we worked through the whole thing. And today, I think he's been minister for 2 terms now, and he's one of the richest guys in Hyderabad now. He's one of the very rich guys. He's 100 times richer than I am. But he's made his way through. That's how I started my journey, and then I moved into different areas. But always, now presently, I'm the managing director of a steel company which manufactures billets and construction steel. All these construction steel that you see, all the TMT steel, that's what we manufacture in various sizes. And I'm also into real estate. And I'm telling you, some of the important things is why I was telling my network about Rohini is, see, you need to maintain these networks. Through her, she's a great entrepreneur herself, actually. She doesn't realize that she has more teacher in her than entrepreneurial thing, but she has more entrepreneurial networking skills. If she comes out, she can be a big competitor. She can give a run to all the builders in Pune. I can guarantee you that. Because I know her. I am not trying to praise her because I have to use some good words because she put me on this dais. No, I don't do that at any time. I am a very critical guy. Normally, I am very critical. If I mean something, I say it. Otherwise, I don't say it. So through her, I got a 1,000-acre development project. Look at her potential. So look at the network. So these are the things which keep happening. So don't ever lose the networks. Don't ever be emotional about small things or small friends. And don't make the mistake of making enemies directly or indirectly. Be good to everybody. You just don't have to fall upon yourself to be good, but just be good to everybody. As an entrepreneur, I would suggest you, these are very important things that you need to keep in mind. Since there's no time, we are running short of time, we'll start the question and answer session. Yes, sir. Dr. Sundar Saab.
What were the major challenges you had faced when you started your business, and can you just describe one very important challenge and how you solved it?
Once you are into this race of entrepreneurship, you always have challenges. There's nothing like a small one or a big one. Sometimes what we think is a very, very small one can become a huge challenge, and sometimes a very big thing can become a small problem. So there are umpteen instances, there are lots of risks that I have taken to motivate you, not to tell what I have done, but to motivate some of you to be fearless. What I can tell you is one thing, one lesson and one experience that I have gone through. I have done a real estate venture. See, all these things, these especially real estate and construction business, they are high risk businesses, high risk in terms of in every way. In every way, it's a high risk business. Whereas if you talk about your startups in software and all, they are little intellectual businesses. They are all intellectual businesses. These are all not like that. You need to have networks, you need to have people in place, you need to have bureaucracy in place, and all this stuff. So I got myself into a crossfire where I was actually not involved. I was not at all responsible for a particular problem. Somehow I got myself into that thing, because I developed a property which belonged to one guy who was living in US, a doctor who was living in the US. And that doctor, they have owned that property for the last 45, 50 years. And then that doctor and all that family passed away. After everybody passed away, and I had done the development of that project. And during that thing, after they passed away, what happened was, the guy who was sitting on the next site, the abutting Pakistan, they always brought problems between neighboring people only. Neighboring people, between the brothers, you have more problems than with others. See, what he has done is, he has come up with some kind of a documentation saying that you guys have encroached into our land. Then I said, look, I have nothing to do encroach. I have nothing to encroach upon anybody, because I'm not an owner of the land. I'm only a developer. Somehow he believed that I have encroached onto his land, and then he put me into a lot of life threats and then legal problems and court problems and police problems and all that. It was one of the wonderful challenges that I had, and one of the wonderful experiences that I had, because I thank God for giving me such a beautiful, huge risk on me, that I had gone through that process, and now I'm more stronger today. And while going through the process also, like, there was a time where my name, people didn't know me, but they knew they named me as Anil Chaudhary. Everybody, though my name is not Anil Chaudhary. So they said some Anil Chaudhary has grabbed some land, and the whole of Hyderabad Gundas are behind his life and all that stuff. I used to hear it from very other people that I know about. Sir, who is this Anil Chaudhary in your area? Then I used to say, no, Anil Chaudhary, I am Anil Kumar, I am the guy. So one thing is, as long as our conscience is clear and we are fearless, at least throughout the career of 30 years, despite all the bad things that happen in the life, we think that, there's no justice or anything. I never ever faced any problem of justice. God was always on my side. The legal system was always on my side, because I was always fearless, because I never did anything wrong knowingly to my conscience. But that fellow felt that I was doing something wrong. Well, I always had sympathy for him, because there's nothing I can change. I can't change his perception. I sympathized with him, and I could overcome that. While going through this process, one of the challenges was, there was a time where it was as if it was impending that I'll be wiped out. That is when I met a SP who is a friend of mine, and he said, and then I have recorded all those threats and all those things, and I showed it to the commissioner and the SP and all those people. They said that all the threats that you have got are real threats. They are not bogus. The people who are who have given the threats, they all have the resume, a strong resume to execute that threat. There's no doubt about, because he has done his own research. And then they have a lot of political backing also. If something happens, there's nothing your family or anybody can do about it. But understand one thing, if you have to go, you will go. Don't just heed to the threats. Just don't heed to the threats. Just whatever threat comes, you just be calm. Don't either escalate the problem by challenging them, or at the same time, don't become too meek and then submit yourself to those threats. That was a very good advice. He was actually younger to me. And then he gave me this, and he said, look, Anil, the same threats I also have gone through, because he was a frontline police officer who has gone through all the Naxal encounters and all. See, I have gone through Naxalites, and my vehicle has been blasted, and today I am standing here. He had disfigured face and all. I'm standing here. If I have to go, I'll go. Nobody in this world can stop me from going. And the same advice I'm giving you. I'm not giving you an academic advice, or I'm not giving you a police advice to see that nothing will happen. We can't protect you. Only God can protect you. But don't heed. Once the day you give up, that is the beginning of your downfall. Understand that, because these are all gangs, which one after the other, all the gangs. That was a beautiful experience that I have gone through. And while going through also, it was very stressful, but I was enjoying that experience, because I was becoming more and more and more stronger in dealing with people, in talking to people, in handling situations like them. These all happen. These things do happen. They're all occupational hazards. If you work for a nuclear factory, there's a nuclear radiation threat. You work for coal mines, you have that this lung disease problem. This is a problem of the business I am in. We should understand it with what you say. You should come out of your body and see it as a different thing, and don't get yourself assigned or get emotionally entangled into this thing and get confused, and stay calm. So this is one of the challenges which I feel I was very proud to handle, and there was blessings also from the God. That's a very important thing. That was a very important thing. Yeah.
Hello. Excuse me, sir. I want to ask one question. My name is Akshay. I am doing mechanical engineering in first year. Sir, I want to ask one question that does the place matter than the idea, business idea in India? And what you will advise for the entrepreneurs which like us, amongst us, that we don't have lot of funding, but we want to start our business. So what advice you will give to us?
Yeah, good question, because again you are reminded of my 27-year-old experience, because Mr. Reddy, he was working as a very senior level guy in HPCL or some company in Bombay. Then he had lot of networks in Maharashtra. Then I asked him only, and he came all the way to Anantapur and Nandyal. Nandyal is even today a backward area, and it is fully ridden with factionists. It's a faction area. And then he came there. I asked, sir, why did you come? Does the place matter to you? Then he said, yes, it does matter. In Bombay, nobody knows who this SPY Reddy is. But here in Nandyal, if I walk on the streets, people know who I am. I have networks here. People know who I am, so place is likely to matter. Again, it depends on the business. See, the kind of business that he was in, he started an industry, and it was a backward area. He had his heart. Actually, he had his heart for his village. He wanted to do something in his village. But then the village, it's full of faction problems and all. Because he was a faction leader's family, one of the faction head's family, they had certain respect there, and they didn't have any industrial relations problems. The same thing, if I go and start in Nandyal, I can't run that there. Even one day I can't run that there. But again, if you are, say, into software kind of a business, place is not, it's a global village. If you are getting into a startup company in a software kind of a business, probably, it doesn't matter at all. But networks matter. Networks do matter. That's a very, very, very strong thing that you need to consciously develop. You have to consciously develop networks. That's a very important. That is why all these are. We don't have too much of network system in India, but in US you have a lot of networks and frat groups and all these things working very strongly. If you come from a particular school, there, if there's another guy who's working there, he'll go out of the way to help you. Even in the funding also. See, you are an ISB graduate or you're IIM graduate, and you have another fund manager who is from IIM, and then he is from IIM. Then there's a bondage. And these bondages are more stronger than the religious bondages and your caste bondages. So that will become strong only if you try to understand that network and then get into the network and do the thing. Always help. Try to understand one thing. The best thing is always easy formula to maintain strong networks is always be willing to help. There will be somebody who will come and help you. This will happen to everybody. Always give. Whatever you can give, you give to the society. There will be something else which will come and give you. But you should be a little smart enough to make that also happen. That's all.
Hello, sir.
This will be the last question.
Yeah, last 3 questions.
Hello, sir.
4 questions.
My name is Manoj and I am from SCAN COE. I am pursuing my first year of mechanical engineering. And my question is, how do you overcome the negativity of yourself and your customers? There are actually 2 questions, and other question is...
You have only 1 question.
Okay, okay. Okay. Please answer the question.
Negativity of?
Yourself and your customers. There are so many incidents.
Negativity of a customer is a positive feedback that you are getting from them. You have to always look at it in such a way that any critical remark is something you have to do the introspection. That's a beautiful, because we get ourselves into a scenario. See, we think that we are always right. See, if you think what you are doing is not right, you wouldn't do a particular thing. But only when somebody else tells you that is the wrong thing, that is the right feedback for you. And then now you evaluate yourself very judiciously, and then you will understand that and you will learn a lot from that.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. I am into my final year of engineering at VIT. My question to you is, being from a manufacturing sector, there are many of the government policies, regulations which are changing day to day, and this affects majorly to the manufacturing sector, and it doesn't affect as majorly to the service sector. So how was your experience with the government policies, regulations, and what will be your advice to the persons who are looking for an opportunity at
government always tries to kill the manufacturing sector. That's the irony of this this country, and I am also one of the victims.
So what will be your advice to first generation entrepreneurs looking for an opportunity in a manufacturing sector? So
manufacturing sector is a very difficult sector to break into. So, and the margins are very low, the rules are very strict. So I'll tell you my own little example. So in the steel business, see that the margin is about, actually it's a negative margin. The whole of this we are into medium and not small scale. I am into a medium sector, not a large sector, not a small sector. I am into a medium sector. So in this kind of a business, this is more a Marwadi business. I always admire Marwadis, Jains and Shettis and Vaishyas, because they are all born businessmen. That is there in their blood. I always learn from these communities. I always observe these communities and learn a lot from them. So that's there in their business. They never complain about anything. They always go around the system and they get the works done. That's it. No questions asked. If the government says 100% is the tax, they will say yes. They will not say no. But they don't produce anything, they don't sell anything, but they make a lot of money.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is, is entrepreneurship related to deciding people, or it's completely pure?
Entrepreneurship. You don't deceive anybody, man. If somebody is there who is ready to be deceived, you better deceive and make money out of them. See, the people are not fools to get deceived. Nobody gets deceived. Don't think anybody is getting deceived. Okay, you can't deceive anybody.
Good afternoon,
You have a customer, you have a need, you have a customer, you find that need, you serve that need, you address that need, you make money. Okay? अगर कोई झुक गया तो it's all up to you.
My name is Shivam Uttarwar from Mechanical Engineering. So my question is, so I want to build a automation company, and I don't have anything as my background. And if I want to, that means build a company, I should go for investors, sponsors, or all.
Sorry.
Then how should I go and ask them for my investment in the company?
Since you are all from engineering background, I am sure that none of you are exposed to the Shark Tank. Is anybody exposed to the Shark Tank reality show? It's an American reality show. You can see that reality show where you have all the sharks, all the big guys with a lot of money sitting there, and then the people, kids like you, they come and they present their ideas, and then they ask you questions. You just watch it. It's a very interesting. All the entrepreneurial candidates who are looking at, please watch that thing. It's on the YouTube. There are a lot of episodes. You can learn, it's an encyclopedia of knowledge for anybody and everybody. Whenever you have little time, instead of watching some Shah Rukh Khan or Amitabh Bachchan's, you better watch the Kaun Banega Karodpati. I just can't understand why people see that thing. For somebody is becoming Karodpati and you are becoming a spectator to that. Yeah, it is good. It is a good show. We have to enjoy it. Once in a while you are stressed or something. Okay, you go and enjoy. नहीं कौन भरेगा करोड़पति तो भाड़ में गया पति भाड़ में गया पत्नी. They are sitting there only. This is what I don't like. See, entertainment you enjoy it, but not as a thing. Okay, you watch that thing. That is a better thing. Okay, that will help you a lot.
सर स्टूडेंट की जो स्टेज होती है ना एक कंफ्यूजन स्टेज होती है क्योंकि बहुत से अच्छी चीजें अपने को
स्टूडेंट नहीं भैया बुड्ढे का भी वही हाल है देयर इज ओनली वन डे वेयर यू आर वेरी क्लियर इन योर लाइफ दैट इज योर फाइनल डे
या सर बट लेकिन स्टूडेंट लाइफ में समय ज़्यादा रहता है और बुड्ढे लाइफ में थोड़ा कम ही रहता है तो इसके लिए यूथ का मतलब ज़्यादा ही होता है एनीवे सर सर आप मतलब आप सिविल सर्विस का भी आपको एक्सपीरियंस है और बिजनेस फील्ड का भी है तो मैं सर आपको एक बताना चाहता हूँ कि अब हम जो एज में है तो हम आपको खुद को कॉन्क्रीट कैसा करें और सिविल सर्विस और मैनेजमेंट के बारे में सर एक लाइन बताएं कि हम हमारा फ्यूचर डिफाइन कर सके कि किधर जाना चाहिए और क्या करना चाहिए प्लीज सर
देयर इज नो पर्टिकुलर डेफिनेशन डियर फ्रेंड for anything in life. It's an experience. It's a beautiful experience. We have to go through that experience and only thing I can advise is that enjoy every experience. The way I enjoyed my threat of life as an experience, good enjoy. You also enjoy it and you will slowly evolve yourself. Nothing comes, I can be rest assured, I always used to think like you when I was there. Now I am getting into career, I am the most confused guy. No. Everybody is equally confused. Everybody is equally uncertain, and everybody is equally insecure. That is why you find all Buddhas only in front of all Babas. No, you don't find youngsters in front of Babas. Why would a Buddha go to a Baba if he is self-actualized and if he is clear in his thinking? Why does all old people like us go and sit in front of him? I also go, by the way. So there's confusion is there till we die. Okay? Yeah, 1 second. And the last question. There's one girl, I want to hear the girl also because I'll take another 2 minutes after this question and I'll wind it up. Yeah, there's one girl. Yeah, one girl. Because there's some relevance. That girl, I think she has been waiting for a very long time, dear. I'm sorry.
How can we start business?
Don't start it. You give it to her. I'm sorry. There's no time. Otherwise, I would have here.
I'm Purma Ramdas from ENTC branch. My question to you is can you share one such experience when networking helped you?
Like I have already given you an example of your Rohini madam. See, she has helped me to get one business. I don't know whether it will go through or not. I could get a 1,000-acre development project through her because she knows those people. So that's a good experience of networking. Wherever it networks well. So let me just take another 2 minutes before I close. See, the other day, 3 days back, I was somewhere in the Katil village in Karnataka, which is a very, very interior village. There, one of my friend who is a cancer survivor for 10 years, he wanted to thank gods, and so he is from US, he's a doctor in US. He survived colon cancer and he wanted to celebrate that. They have organized this Yaksha Gana. I don't know how many of you really know these folk dances. I myself never knew those folk things. This is my first experience. In that experience, I have seen this Mahishasura Mardana. They have enacted that Mahishasura Mardana, and I have learnt one thing from the whole episode. That was a whole night affair, but the summary of what I have learnt, I'll tell you because it's relevant to you. In the story of Mahishasura Mardana, this Mahishasura's some brother or somebody, because it was in Kannada, I could not understand fully. I was just trying to understand little here and there. And his brother will be killed, and then Mahishasura will get angry, and he will go and he'll make a mess out of everything in the heaven. So he will remove the Indira, and then he'll remove all Asuras from their thrones, and he'll put all his Rakshasas. These Indiras, Rakshasas, gods, demons, these are all our personality, the good side and bad side of our personalities. Okay, he'll remove all them, and then he'll put his Rakshasas on the throne. And all these gods will go to Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. So this Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, like heroes, they'll go and say, okay, we are going to remove that fellow from them. Then he'll give a big kick to those three guys also. Then this Shiva, then there is Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma. If they can't do anything, what else can we do? So all these people will go. What do they do? Do you know what do they do? That is when all these three people will go to the Shakti. Then they say, Amma, I can't do anything. So we are giving you all our strengths and arms and everything, only you have to do. So finally, Ma Shakti will go and annihilate that Mahishasura Mardana. So this is the power of a woman, please understand. When no man can achieve anything, that is where a woman can do. Woman's strengths are much, much beyond the man's strengths. Though man thinks that he is great, we are great, of course. But understand the hidden, latent strength of women, and women have got no end to entrepreneurship. You have a lot of advantages. People only talk about disadvantages. No, there are a lot of advantages. If I go to a collector's office, I have to grease from Chaprasi onwards saying, sir, 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 sir. But if a woman goes, you don't have to. You have a lot of advantage. So I would encourage, and the government also has got a lot of incentives to offer to the women. So I really encourage and I expect all the women here to become somebody, and I really wish that beautiful girl to start a business, and she will do it. Okay, good luck. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank Dr. Anil Kumar Kaza for gracing us with your presence and sharing your valuable time with us.
And we also request Professor Dr. R.S. Bhalerao to present Dr. Anil Kumar Kaza with a present of appreciation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yes.
Anil was my classmate from 3rd to 7th. He was always a backbencher, whereas I used to sit in the first 2 rows. However, both of us used to compete for the first 2 ranks, I would like to think that I had scored the first rank most of the times, though he claims that is otherwise. He also says that he was elected as the most popular, most popular boy. Funnily, I don't remember that. However, he went on to become an entrepreneur, and today he's come here as a resource person for EDC, and he stands over here to be felicitated by me, and it's an honor for me. And I went on to become a teacher, and look at the contrast, the beauty in the contrast, that I went on to become a teacher, and I'm now standing over here felicitating an entrepreneur who's used to sit in the last benches. Anyway, thank you one and all.